Let's go in there with a bunch of crazed dogs.
My camera. How about them Giants? How about them Giants? How about them Giants?
Woo! What's happening, people? Yes, welcome to another episode of Giants Rush, where we talk Giants football 50 weeks of the year. And we are definitely in the middle of off-season. Free agency, of course, started last week. Giants don't have a quarterback. We're making some moves, a lot of stuff out there, a lot of smoke screens and a lot of, basically, looking for things to talk about. So it's me and Mr. St. Patrick is with me today, Shawn. So we're going to talk some football. We hope you guys are I see you guys piling in the room now. What's up, Daniel? And look, if you got something you want to talk about, bring it up because we've got an open forum tonight. We don't have a whole lot, brewing because the Giants are in this steady holding pattern on basically what we would call the Rodgers watch, right? Where are we in the grand scheme of things? So I can tell you this.
It's good to be the king.
Yes, it is good to be the king. I'm going to bring in, who, Mr. St. Patrick himself. He's already probably 2 beers in, maybe 3 beers in to some Guinness for St. Patrick's Day. Pound it out for all you Irishmen out there.
We'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
What's up?
What's going on? Yes, Guinness was flowing. So you're going to get a happy Joker tonight because this is my favorite holiday.
Yeah, it is cool, but it doesn't feel the same as it did when I was in my 20s. It definitely doesn't feel the same.
No, maybe not, but it's still good for me.
What's up, JT? See you in here. We want to talk about, we will talk about Winston and why you potentially somehow hit your head on the way to putting that in the comments. I love you though, JT. I love you, man.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good.
Not your fault. You were dropped on your head as a baby. It's. We won't hold that against you.
Exactly. And by the way, you're all part of the Rush fam. So we love all you guys.
Absolutely.
So let me start off here because this is kind of the low hanging fruit. I'm thinking about the O-line, a lot of moves, Shawn, like stacking them and packing them deep, right? So my question to you is, let's not talk about Carm, right? And let's just talk about talent.
Yep.
Are they better today? Are the New York Giants better today than they were 8-9 days ago?
I believe so based on who they brought in because their depth is now better than what they had before. So, was there a big line starter brought in? No, but again, I thought the O-line played well. I believe they're going to make some other moves. I believe Neal is going to move to guard, especially with who they, brought in a couple tackles. So when you get better at depth, that improves your roster because now you have competition. Now when guys get hurt, your depth is being better. So I do think they're better. Again, could there still be somebody else they bring in at this point? Potentially. But when you just look at where the depth of their roster, and you need depth, right? Like you got to have depth. You got to upgrade at depth too. So I do think they are better when they're, and I like the GVR signing. I like bringing him back. He's an underrated Giants. He was much better last year than people give him credit for.
Yeah, 100%. And Stinny's coming back, right? And
continuity, right?
Yeah, and Van Roten's coming back, so there is a little bit of continuity there. I think Van Roten can also snap and kind of push JMS a little bit.
Yep.
I did want like that tier 1 guard. I did want that. I was happy with Runyon, before they shut him down. right?
Yep.
You know, a lot of these guys get surgery in the offseason. I think some of these guys might have got surgery earlier than normal, right?
Yes.
Whether it's a thumb, whether it's a knee, whether it's an elbow, like these guys get stuff cleaned out in the offseason. So they shut Runyon down earlier than I expected. So I'm hoping that Neal like takes off with this guard thing and really makes a difference. What's up, Gino? What's up, Mark B? Good to see you in the house. So my thought is, oh, and there's Cold pulling in. What's up, Cold? I think, I do think, Cold, that they did try, right? They did try to get that tier 1 guard, and it didn't work out. Guys got tagged, guys got re-signed. But there is definitely more competition in-house, right? I thought Stinney played well. I thought JVR played well. The biggest thing, Shawn, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we've had this issue now for the line's been bad for a while, but every time the line has gotten better, Andrew Thomas goes down, and then everything goes into disarray.
Yeah.
Like, again, I almost want to say, like, how do we keep this guy healthy? I know, but again, they're all freak accidents that happen, or but would you agree that if Andrew Thomas is healthy and makes it through the season, this line's going to see a ton of more production?
I do agree with that. I think he realizes that, and from what has been said, he also got bigger this offseason so far.
And a good thing?
I think so. If he got more muscular, stronger, like I think he realizes he's got to stay healthy. So he's probably trying to do put on some more bulk to make sure that happens. And
George is commenting on what I just said about like freak accident, right? These things, they do happen, right? What's up, Mark Stewart? And George, thanks for joining. Yeah, he becomes like the key to success, because when he goes down, we start shifting guys around. And as as Carb Crush will tell you, Rosa will tell you, I'm tired of putting guards in center spots and centers and guard spots, guards and tackle spots and tackles. It's enough already. So I really hoping, maybe, like I said, maybe he's doing some, I know some of these guys go to MMA fighting to help them with their hand play. Some of these guys go to yoga to make sure they're limber, because he really just needs to stay healthy. Like, I don't know how the Giants can get better if Andrew Thomas can only play half a year every year.
No, and what it looks like too is that they're not going to. Again, GVR, he can play multiple positions, so that's a little different scenario. But it looks like the guys they brought in this offseason are guys that are position specific. So, that's good as well. So they probably have learned from that. There's going to be no more of that. Let's experiment moving Azudo out to guard, tackle when he's a guard, that kind of stuff. Again, if they're moving Neal from tackle to guard, they're trying to improve things there, make competition. So I do think, again, that I think they're realizing that. And I know you said not to bring him up, but I think Carm is a big reason for that.
Yeah. I meant just when I say don't bring up Carm, because like we know Carm makes a difference, right? And the players seem to really like him, and we know he just, whatever he's teaching, whatever his method of madness is, it works. It makes guys better, right? And whether it's something small or something big, it definitely works. I just want to know, talent wise, I feel like we have better talent because we've got more depth. And I think some of these guys, are definitely B+ players. I really thought Stinney had a decent year. And I think, like you said, Van Roten is a little underrated because he can also play center in a pinch.
He played it well.
Yeah. I mean, again, the key is Thomas. If he's healthy, this line could be a top 18, top 20 line, maybe top 15. I don't know. That might be stretching it. But
no, I think top 15 is fair if Thomas is healthy.
Okay.
And I'd say this, once they figured out and moved on from the Hubbard Zudu fiasco, that line was not as bad as people think. Like, it's been all offseason, people talking about O-line this. It wasn't bad. It was really just the one or two games when you had Hubbard and Zudu. And after that, they were good. In fact, that was against, I think it was the Colts game. They were like top 5 in the league for that week. So
they can both also. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just thinking they do run block well. We cannot deny the fact that a 5th round draft pick who was a wide receiver in college came in here and ran for, 1,000 all-purpose yards.
Yeah,
Like, between, so
yeah. And he didn't start, at the beginning of the season. So he did that, I think he rushed for 800 yards in what like 10 games or something like
yeah,
that,
he had
maybe.
like 850 yards in 10 games. He had another 240, 250 in passing. So,
Yeah.
that's on a patchwork offensive line. So if we just need to find, and sometimes that's why I think I wanted a tier 1 lineman. I wanted to find a guy that just doesn't get hurt. There are guys that just don't get hurt. I can't explain it. I also don't think there's a ton of sports science into those guys that just have certain kind of genes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Some guys just get
whatever it
hurt.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
some guys just don't get hurt. I
Right.
don't know. I can't really explain it. They just don't get hurt. You could say this guy does yoga, this guy eats clean, this guy goes to bed at 9:00. I don't know what it is, but I wanted a guy who just doesn't get hurt. And when you plug him in, you're like, we're good. He may not be a top 10 guard, but he's a top 25 guard, and he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. Well, and there's still some guards out there that are pretty good that could come in and push or be a starter at that guard position. So, I'm wondering, because again, they're still not signed. Other teams aren't signing them. So I'm wondering with the Giants, how will they do that once the quarterback room is settled? Like, will they bring in a guard because they'll know how much money they have or what they need to restructure or what they need to do? So are they playing a little more cautious with those, tier 2, tier 3 guys? Like they're, Tevin Jenkins is out there, Brandon Scherf is out there. So you got guys that are still out there that could come in and do well here. Just figuring out, what that's going to be.
I'm so glad Cole just brought this up, because here's the thing. Let's throw this up here because Cole's point. People keep bringing up the line because all the mainstream media brings up. I got to tell you, I guess maybe, and sometimes I got to apologize. I just been really short and curt, and like just matter of fact on Twitter lately or X lately, because the bull crap is just nonstop. Right. And I'm watching these guys go on, like they get their, they're finally make Good Morning Football. They finally make ESPN. They finally make Yahoo, whatever on there. And they're because they don't cover the Giants. Their first thing is the O-line's been bad for a decade. Like, dude, yes, like we understand that the line hasn't been great, but it hasn't been, it's not the worst part of the, the team. Or yes, if you, again, I know I kill this stat over and over, but like, I'd love for some national guy to say, Greeny, or, hey, Mike Tannenbaum, hey, whoever. Did you know that before Jones got hurt, they were on pace to sack him 34 less times than the year before? That's called improvement, right? They're still not like I said, they're not a dominant offensive line, but they're surely not the 30th ranked offensive line when they're healthy. And listening to these guys just run with it, it's just infuriating. I mean, like sometimes these guys say stuff that you realize they don't cover the Giants, and you're like, well, if I say it's the O-line, I got a good chance of it making sense.
Yeah, I had a quote tweet the other day and call somebody out on a Good Morning Football that was like said it again, and I'm like, and Kyle Brandt said what he said about the Giants. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, come on. Like, I know they're easy target, but I mean, let's be realistic with what we're talking about here.
Yeah, like exactly. Like where was, and again, I like Schrager. We've tried to get him on here a couple times. He just blows us off, but that's fine. But he added some good points. But again, like these guys never get in the weeds. Like, where's the national guy that stands up and goes, "Hey, look, timeout for a line that supposedly sucked, that Barkley didn't want to run behind. Well, you got a rookie running back that was a wide receiver that had 1,000 all-purpose yards. Not too bad." Right. Yeah. For a crap offensive line. Like sometimes it's, that some of that stuff needs to be said. You know what I mean? Like,
and Schrager made a good point. He's like, they are a quarterback away from being competitive. Like, how long I've been saying it for a while now. Like, quarterback play was huge. So I'll at least give Schrager credit for saying that. And then those other two guys came in like, well, it don't matter, blah, blah, blah. And the line's bad. It's just crazy. So that's why I don't watch a lot of that anymore. Like, I can't.
Yeah, Gino's spot on. What when you don't win and you play in New York, you're an easy target. Like, without a doubt, there's a bias, right? Whether you want to say that coming to play with Eli getting in the Hall of Fame, or that we're the punching bag. Like, it's all. Look, don't get me wrong. Washington was a punching bag up till last year, and with what's his name buying the team, that made a big difference, right? Because that guy's legit and he owns a ton of sports franchises, including the Devils. So the guy knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it is easy target because we're in the biggest market in the country and we don't have an A-list type of team, right? So I get it, but I'm a little sick of the whole national press just saying the O-line's bad. Like, come on, man. Like, I get it, but that's not the narrative right now. The narrative is the QB. Right.
Listen, everything's about clicks and engagement now, and that's the easiest way with the biggest market, largest market, New York fans. The easiest way to get clicks and engagement is to say shit like that and talk about the Giants as much as you do. Like, let's be real.
Oh, I can't take it. Okay. Despite my Hulk,
that was pretty impressive, by the way. well done. It's nice to see I'm not the only one that gets fired up on here. I gotta take a break after last week.
Yeah, well, last week we were going at it. Last week it was good. It was good stuff. We're still friends. All right, let me ask you this. And like I said, if jump in if you want something new, you want to propose back to me, but you can easily just answer these questions and we can keep rolling. We've talked about this one a couple times, Wilson or Rodgers. So I want to ask this because I don't want to end the show today talking a half hour about Wilson or Rodgers. So I just wanted to ask you, with Rodgers doing his thing, kind of holding stuff up, and Wilson being basically in a holding pattern, basically saying, let me see where he signs and I'm going to the other place. Yeah. Like, has your mindset changed at all on who you want to be the quarterback, like the Wilson or Rodgers? Like, have you changed at all over this last week of shenanigans?
No, it hasn't. I'm fine with either one, but I'll say this. If the Giants have Rodgers as their number one target, then you don't settle for somebody else just because you think, because we don't know what they're talking about, what is said. We don't know the conversations that they've had with Rodgers. We don't know any of that stuff. The only thing that we kind of know is that there's been an offer by them and the Steelers. Both of us have made an offer to Rodgers. And again, the Giants aren't the only one waiting on Rodgers. The Steelers are as well. So it's not a Giants thing, right? So it's like somebody said the other day, like, when you got somebody who wants you, then you go for the person who wants you. Well, listen, if I got an ugly woman that's after me, doesn't mean I'm going to go for him, right? Like, you go who you want and who's there. So we don't have the details. We don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. All these reports, nobody knows jack shit at this point. So I'm good with either one, and I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to see how it plays out and who they end up getting. That's where I'm going with this.
And by the way, I'm kind of on that train. I mean, Tannenbaum last week, called the Giants, basically a career grave. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, listen, like, regardless of like Tannenbaum, whether he had a good or bad run with the Jets, the time that, in the time frame 2006 to 2012, when he was the GM of the Jets, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So for all you folks out there that tweeted back to me that Tannenbaum had a great record, I don't care about his record. He didn't win a Super Bowl. He didn't win 2 Super Bowls, right? So, like, how good was he? He was good enough to get them, to a playoff, which is great because the New York Giants don't go to the playoffs now. So I see the value in that. But calling something a professional grave just sounds like, little boy envy. You know what I mean? It sounds like,
especially when you're comparing it to Cleveland. Like, that's a quarterback graveyard right there. Like, look at how many quarterbacks they've had since their re-existence, right? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, again, he's, for me, like, I am ready to move on. I am ready to get us ready for the draft and get going. So I do feel like it's cool, and I appreciate your comfortableness in letting it unfold. I just don't think, and again, and I understand that they're trying to give him his space, but I am under the impression that you want people to like you. You want the players to like you. You want the staff to like you, the front office to like you. You want the janitor and the lunch people to like you. I don't know. This is the way about going about it. He's in the driver's seat. He's got the leverage. I don't know if this is the best way to go about it, to winning, the fan base over or whatever it may be. I'm not really sure this is the way to go about it. A week in, like, he could easily have better communication, even if he doesn't have an answer. So I think his communication is pretty poor. And I just, again, these are the reasons why people don't like him. That there's no flexibility. Like, there's no communication. It's Rodgers' way or the highway.
But we don't know if he's having communication with them. That's my point. Like, we're just assuming We're assuming he's not competing with the Giants. But again, even if that was the case, it's not just the Giants, it's the Steelers too. So there's got to be some communication there because both teams are waiting on him. So there's some sort of communication going on. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so. I do hope so. As far as Russ goes, I don't love or hate Russ. Like I thought he looked a little slow in some of those drills he had filmed, but and someone had a good point up here is like, it was Gino. It says one wants to run. Here, let me throw it up on the screen for you folks. It says one wants to run the show, Rodgers. The other wants to be at the show, Wilson. Pass on ball. I don't know if we don't really have the luxury of passing because again, if you don't win games, guys are getting fired. So you're gonna have to win 8 games here, and it's not going to be easy with that schedule. But you want the Giants to succeed. You want the quarterback to come in here and win games, and of course, groom a young kid. Ross says the NFL Network just said he may not make a decision before the draft. Well, then that's your sign to be. If that was remotely true, Ross, then they're out. They will be out if he's not going to make a decision until May. Like again, he's continuing to prove he doesn't give an F, and that's a problem because that's not just perception now, right? Like the courtesy would be is these guys are going to give you a shitload of money they shouldn't. They're your quote unquote employee or it should be employer. Give them a little bit of respect. And I don't think that if he went out to the draft or whatever it was another month, that would just be disrespectful for what the franchise needs to do.
But he's also, so I watch the McAfee show a lot, and AJ Hawk is on there, and he's close with him, and McAfee's close too, obviously, right? McAfee doesn't know anything. In fact, Rodgers doesn't even know what's being said about him because he's not paying attention. He's off doing his thinking and contemplating all of that. And if AJ Hawk knows anything, he's not saying anything. So if those two guys aren't saying anything and they don't know anything, nobody else knows anything else. So that's my stance. I could be proven wrong, but all these reports coming out, these people saying they don't know anything. They don't know. I believe there's only 3 people if you count Rodgers. There's 3 people who know anything: Rodgers, AJ Hawk, and then potentially Pat McAfee, because that's his kind of inner circle. And AJ Hawk definitely is in his inner circle, without a doubt. Like he's a confidant, without a doubt. So I'm not buying these reports. We know it's lying and smoke screen season, and it's been proven over and over again that even the national media doesn't know these scoops or say what they say. Like nobody knows anything at this point, and I'm going to stick to that. So again, I can be proven wrong, but I'm not believing any reports about anything or anybody at this time. Until something happens, then I'll believe it.
So JT says here, what indication do we have that either Russ or Aaron would win us 8 games? So again, we don't know, right? What we can say are these things. Like let's try to look just at some of the facts, right? No opinions. Coming off an Achilles surgery, Rodgers had a good year, right? He had a good year, threw a bunch of touchdown passes, and he's not 100%, right? Coming off the surgery. And he had a pretty good year. The guy was 2-time, he won 2 MVPs over 4 years, a couple years ago. So we do know the fact that, he can still spin the ball. We do know guys like him, right? Like the guys in the locker room all stood up for him. We know he's been traditionally a winner. He's only been a loser since he went to the Jets, right? We do know that, he makes other players better. We do know that the Giants lost 4 games last year, depending on who you are. Giants lost 4 games, in my opinion, on quarterback play. Some people may tell you up to 6 games that they were in it, but couldn't win it because the quarterback couldn't get it done. So if it's 4 or 6, right? I mean, they won 3, so JT, I can't sit here and tell you I've got a crystal ball, but a better quarterback play may win you 6, 7, 8 games last year. You know what I mean? There is something to be said for what Tracy did, what Neighbors did, what O'Kerry McFadden did, what Dexter Lawrence did, what Brian Burns did, right? Like there's something to say that like there was a lot of really good effort, but the quarterback couldn't elevate the offense to score enough points.
Yeah.
So my first thing is that, like, I do think a seasoned veteran who knows how to be a leader of men, knows how to win, can encourage other players, increase their value, by motivating these guys, making plays. I think all leads to, guys believing in the quarterback. And again, his track record speaks for itself. The body of work speaks for itself. Russ may be a little bit different because, like, Russ didn't do well in Denver. He had the injury, he came back. They didn't get along. He left. He didn't start right away. Then he started off really well in Pittsburgh, kind of faded at the end. I still think Russ is a professional quarterback and a leader of men. I don't know again if you have to buy into that guy. But I think that those guys have earned the right to lead a team. So I think that what makes me feel, JT, that they could win 8 games is they just make a lot of people better around us, right? They just make the team better because they can read the defense faster. They can get that ball spinning faster, get it out faster, make better decisions. Don't miss open men, whatever it is. These guys at least give you a better chance to win than a lot of other QBs. Remember, there's only 32 quarterbacks, in the NFL. It's the most elite job on the planet.
Yeah.
So I got to lean on the fact that Russ and Rodgers, if they can handle the media and they make some friends on the team, I think yes, I think they can win games.
And Russ was dealing with the Pickens issue last year, and I mean, his number 2 wide receiver wasn't great either. So, like, good tight end, good running back, but you put Russ with Malik Neighbors, Wandale, and Tracy. Like, Malik Neighbors is head and shoulders better than George Pickens. I don't care what anybody says. So that can also bring some better play out of that as well. And Russ can throw with anticipation. He can lead a wide receiver. He throws a deep ball well. He throws a catchable ball, which is another thing that goes overlooked by people these days, is a quarterback who can throw a catchable ball, right? Like, that's what you want. So I think Russ could do very well here with the talent and the skill positions that we have here. So, and also, Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator was a pound the rock kind of guy. Tomlin wanted to pound the rock like that. Tomlin wanted to pound the rock. That's what he was doing. And they made some changes later on where they're like, all right, so that could contribute to some of the things they did as well. So I'm not, again, if you look at their stats, you look what they did. If you put both those guys' stats on the Giants last year, there's no doubt in my mind we win 8 or 9 games. Zero doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I do think last year, like, again, the Giants have a much harder schedule. I'm always a big body of work guy. You hear me say it all the time. What's the body of work look like? And these guys can win games, right? So that's kind of the reason why, the Wilson and Rodgers thing. I'm still leaning a little bit on Rodgers, but not much more. I can't have this thing drag out. I want to move on. You know what I mean? I want to get guys going. I want someone to be excited to come here and start working with Neighbors and Theo and Bellinger and Wandale and whoever else, that you want to pop in there. All right. So then that would lead me to, I'm going to leave we did the O-line. We'll get to the top 10 players of all time to watch as Giants. We do have that topic coming up. I asked Shawn to give me his top 10 players that he liked to watch, not better talent, not statistically, like who he liked to watch play. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Let's talk about what JT asked me about a couple minutes ago about this. Winston or Flacco. So I don't know what your thoughts are on it. We haven't really talked about this before. But I tweeted it out. I'm struggling paying $4,000 to see Jameis Winston play. Paying that, that's not what I'm signing up for. And Jameis is a funny guy. And Dash said to me today, what are you going to feel like when he throws for 303 touchdowns? I'm going to be elated because he can do it. And this is not me hating on Jameis Winston. My philosophy is One is I don't think he takes care of the ball. We all know about he's a turnover machine. I don't want a rookie quarterback like thinking, okay, when in doubt, close your eyes and rip it. Like I don't want any bad habits to roll over into some rookie quarterback because they're impressionable and they're young. You know, I've heard it numerous times about quarterbacks telling, or excuse me, the veteran quarterback telling the rookie quarterback, just, hey man, just attach yourself to my back and follow me around, and I'll show you how this works. So I mean, Jameis doesn't know anything about the Giants. You know what I mean? And so he's not going to be able to kind of walk him through Giants history or what's going on in the building or where to go for this or that. So it's got to be mostly on-field stuff. And I think on-field, the guy hasn't completed a season in 6 years, 5-6 years. He's always hurt or benched. And I just don't want a guy to be like, when in doubt, close your eyes and let it rip. I can't do it. I just can't do it. So my tweet today or my X today was like, I am selling my seats if Jameis Winston is what Dabes and Shane feel is our best foot forward. So turning it over to you, Winston or Flacco?
Can I say neither?
Well,
like here's the thing. Here's the thing. So Giants fans, I get it. Like, all right, we had 6 years where Daniel Jones couldn't throw a deep pass, and Winston throws it deep, but that's all he can do. He is at this point in his career, to me, he's a less talented version or equal to Tyrod Taylor, right? Tyrod Taylor could throw it deep, but that's all Tyrod Taylor could do was throw the damn deep ball. He couldn't throw underneath routes. He made bad decisions. But Winston is a far more turnover machine. Like he literally had 13 touchdowns and 12 interceptions last year. You're not going to win many games. Like, I'm sorry. Now, Winston as solely a backup. Okay, fine. He's a decent backup option. Flacco, it's like a toss-up because he's, been the Super Bowl, done those Super Bowl winning quarterback. So that's a guy that can teach a rookie things, right? That's a guy who knows how to win. Winston hasn't won in this league. It doesn't matter the reasons or whatever else, he has not won in this league. He won 2 games last year. Like, let's be real. 2 games, right? So if I had to choose based on that, I would lean more towards Flacco, but Flacco is a statue. He can't move like that. Like, he can't move at all. So I don't really know that, again, if we're just talking as a backup quarterback, that's a different conversation than somebody to come in and start 6 or 8 games until the rookie is ready. Like, I don't think either one of those guys are going to win us a lot of games. And I don't want to not win games. Like, I don't care that both are cheaper than Wilson and Rodgers. Wilson and Rodgers is not going to prevent us from drafting a rookie if they have the opportunity to draft a rookie. Winston and Flacco aren't going to win us games, and we need to win games. And I'm just tired of people saying, well, Winston's going to sling it. Yeah, that he can throw it deep. That's all he can do. That's literally all he can do. If you throw 13 TDs and 12 interceptions, why would you want that here? And if you spread that out over 17 games, that ends up being like what he did in 8 years ago when he threw 33 and 30. Yeah, he threw for 5,000 yards, but he threw 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. He had one good year where his touchdown to interception ratio was good. The dude has been a backup, the last 6 years? Yeah. And we saw what he did in Cleveland. And Cleveland was not as bad as people say. Like, their quarterback play, much like us, was the big reason for what they were. Watson was awful, and then Winston was just as bad. And most of his yardage came when the team was down, so he had no choice but to sling the rock. And then there was one game they had a chance to win, and I forget who it was, and he literally threw an interception, like a bad interception, when all he had to do was hit an underneath receiver. Like, I just don't want that. I don't want it. And the reasons they give for Winston, like you did your Hulk thing earlier, like, it drives me crazy. Like, you're not going to convince me that Winston is the option. Now, if he comes here and he's the guy, I'll support him. And I hope he proves me wrong. But I haven't seen anything from Winston that says, other than he's going to throw the deep ball. So there we go. We got our quarterback because he can throw a friggin' deep ball. Woohoo!
Two things. So JT said I brought up that Winston doesn't know the Giants, but I didn't say that about Russ or Rodgers. Again, I'm trying to find intangibles, JT, right? Because I know that Rodgers is going to lead by example in what he does on the field, and Wilson will do that when he does on the field because they've won Super Bowls. They've gone to multi-playoff games. They've won MVPs. They have all this on-field acumen that a quarterback can learn from. Like, wow, Winston doesn't have any of that. So now I start thinking like, well, maybe he can help him like learn the Giant way, but he can't do that either because he's not a Giant. So those other two guys, JT, Russ and Rodgers, they're going to lead by example. They're leaders of men. They have gone to the promised land and back where Winston hasn't. And when someone says to me, but man, it'll be entertaining. It's not entertaining when your quarterback leads the league in interceptions and in pick six, you know what I mean? Or he's hurt. Because guess what that means? Now we're back to Tommy Cutlets. And none of us want that. So, like, again, I got no problem Winston being a backup QB, but I want the rookie to learn from somebody who has a killer work ethic or can really do some cool stuff on the field and be a good mentor for him. I don't know. Jameis could be a good mentor for him, but his on the field results are scary when he's just, when in doubt, close your eyes and rip it. Like, I can't wrap my head around that when like a rookie quarterback's just watching and he's like, this guy just closes his eyes and rip it. Maybe that works here in the NFL. Like, I don't think it's appropriate for a guy, to like a young, impressionable QB in the New York market lean on Jameis Winston. Again, yes, he's entertaining, and yes, he's a good guy, and yes, he can throw the deep ball. I just don't think we're in that position to bank on Jameis because he can throw a deep ball. 20 interceptions a game, like you're still losing a ton of games. And then it's more people bitching and griping and moaning, coaches getting fired. I can't do it. I can't do it. On top of the fact, me personally, I can't pay for it. If I can watch it at home, just give me my money back then. You know what I mean? And I'll come back for my season tickets when you draft a quarterback or you get Cam Ward or whatever it is, because I can't watch it. It's just,
people complain about the Drew Lock signing, but now they want Winston.
Drew Lock sucked. I told you guys how long you guys have been watching this now, hanging out with us for 2, 3, 4 years now. I've been telling you Drew Lock wasn't the guy.
I know.
We don't want to go down that road again.
We don't. And help me understand, Craig, and I know, and this will lead into the other topic too, I think, but help me understand why people are so worried about the cost of the quarterback right now. The Giants are going to have so much money's coming off the books in 26. So whatever they spend on a quarterback, if it gets them to win games, why do we need the cheaper option? Why is everybody worried about cost? Why do people not want to pay the players? Why do Giants fans not want to pay players? I don't understand it. Help me understand. It always said, oh, you go for the cheaper guy. No, I don't want cheap anymore. I don't want cheap anymore. We don't need to be cheap.
I think people go that route because, and this is not aimed at anybody specifically, but it makes them sound smart, in the know. Makes them sound like they have business acumen because they're like, well, this guy and that guy in the cap. I'm like, dude, I don't give a crap. Just pay the best players available and win some damn games. Washington's out there getting it done. They're like this. You know what? Give me Zach Ertz. Give me Quinn. Oh yeah, give me that great young quarterback from LSU. Give me, you know what? Give me Tunsil. Trade me whatever it is. Who they just trade for?
Larry Tunsil.
Larry Tunsil. I'm like they're just doing what it takes to be great. They're not settling. They're like just so I don't know if I can. You asked me to help you. I don't know if I can quite help you, but I think when numbers, right, definitely leads you to believe that you know what you're talking about. And I also think that I give people a lot of credit for spending a lot of time, with cap numbers and salary cap numbers. But Larry, Tunsil and Ertz and all these guys, that doesn't matter what they got paid. They can come in here and make a difference. Yeah. So we don't need, we're always worried about we got no draft picks. Oh, the cap number. We can't. Oh my God. Just get it done.
Yeah, again, the amount of money that's coming off the books next year, Giants are going to have a huge cap number. And the cap, again, I said this last year, and I'm saying again, the cap is going to go up again next year too. And people don't want to believe it, but it's going to go up again. It's gone up the last 2 years. They're adding more international games. They're adding more things. That cap is going to go up again. And the reason why the devil himself, Howie Roseman, gets it is because he banks on the fact that the cap is going to go up. And he's the only one that gets it. These other people are worried about, and the fans buy it too. Oh, the cap, it's going to catch up to him. It never catches up to Howie Roseman. Never.
No,
because he gets it. It goes up every year.
Yep.
It goes up every year.
Yep.
Yes.
Kicks the can down the field and gets it done. That's why when we hit off season, this is why I liked what we did in free agency, but I was also like, I don't care. Figure out how to get it done. Whatever he wants, bring him in, because we needed tier 1 players. Now, we definitely 100% did a good job on the defensive side, right? Adebo and the safety Holland is great. It's going to change our defensive backfield like overnight.
Yep.
But like sometimes you guys are always hesitant about doing this and that. I'm like, man, just sign me the best players. I'm like, can we just sign the best players and worry about there's people worried about the cap in 2026. And I'm like, what are we talking to do? We haven't played a game in 2025 yet.
I know. So, I can't say what I want to say about that, why they worry about it. So I'll be quiet.
It's all good. It's all good, man. St. Patrick's Day, you get a pass.
Dennis is wearing off.
I like Flacco to be able to, to throw the ball. He's got some accuracy. I like Winston for the deep ball. I don't think either one of them is someone that the Giants should sign. I think it would be death all the way around, both of them. I don't see value in either one of these guys. Like I said, I can't see me paying $4,000 to go watch these guys start. I can't do it.
No, but if you miss out on Wilson and Rodgers, then you have to have a backup quarterback and you have to take a rookie. So that's where they probably come into play. And I led you right into that. That's a segue.
Yeah, I like, you know what? Like, so hang on.
I can't do it any better.
No, like that was like a perfect segue for this.
It's good to be the king.
Exactly, because you just led me right into the next topic, which is, of course, smoke screen. I wish I had like a bong, with the water bubbling in the background or some smoke.
We got to get the Laramie Tunsil gas mask video and play that. Yeah, that's what we got to do.
Here's the thing. And sometimes I don't know. You guys just sometimes believe some people blindly and some people not. I think you got to listen to the people who actually know what they're talking about instead of, jumping on board with some of these media guys. Look, the New York Giants, if they have a chance, if the Tennessee Titans will listen, none of us know if they will or they will not. But if they will listen, the Giants, because of the scenario they're in right now, because they're kicking themselves. You're like, they're like, do you believe we got to wait on these chump? Right? Like, you're never going to hear anybody say that, but they can easily move up to get the number 1 pick in Cam Ward. It is easily done if Tennessee will entertain it. It can be done if you're willing to give stuff up. Now, what you people are saying right now is, don't give up anything. And you're right back to what we just talked about. Like, if you like Sanders or you like Ward, right, just get them and lie in the bed you made. If they shit the bed, they shit the bed. But at least just go get a quarterback and stop with this. I don't want to move up. I don't even care anymore. Just move up and get them.
Yep.
Just do it. Like, for God's sake. You know? The thing about Sanders is, like, people are talking about how Deion's not going to let Shador sit. I would hope if the Giants drafted Shador, we had Rodgers or Russ, that he would be cool sitting. I understand that Deion does not want that. I definitely think Ward is like on board with sitting if he had to.
Where did that start, by the way? Where did Deion ever say that he doesn't want Shador to sit? I have not heard that. Or
that's why I said, like, I don't know where it came from. Like, I don't know, like, but evidently somebody's saying it, and I guess that could be a talk track out there. Yeah. Who knows if it's actually a conversation or not? The biggest smoke screen out there is that the Giants won't move up. Not as much as that Sanders won't sit, right? I think the bigger one is that the Giants will not now move up for the first pick to get Sanders or Ward. I just find that's crazy. Like If they have an opportunity and Tennessee will entertain it, they'll do it. And then, all these conversations are moot because, one of those guys is going to wind up starting halfway through the year or maybe by game 10. But we don't know if Dion said that or not. That's the talk out there in the media. Like, when you listen to these guys like, Wiley or the PTI guys or, I mean, all those guys have alluded to the fact that Sanders' deal is that he wants to start. But I can't sit here and tell you that there's some credible resource, or source that said it.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, we're in peak lying and smokescreen season. And I'm standing by this. If Tennessee is willing to listen to offers, they're not sold on a quarterback. They're not sold on taking a quarterback because they realize they're farther away than what a quarterback can do for them right now. Secondly, when you look at that, the Bears were not willing to listen last year. Regardless of what was said, they weren't willing to listen. Caleb was their guy. They're absolutely a guy. So you can't say like Tennessee and Chicago are the same. No, they're not, because Tennessee is actually listening and fielding calls and taking things and saying we're willing to move out. The GM or the president, one of the two, has actually come out and said that. Actually came out and said that. So, and I think on more than one occasion, if I'm not mistaken. So to me, that says they're not sold on taking a quarterback there. So I do believe one of the quarterbacks, if not both, will be there at 3. But can you take that risk? I don't know that you can. So if there's a guy you want, make the trade. Make the trade. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Just make the trade.
Yeah. No one's going to sit here and say, I like giving up a first-round draft pick. No one would subscribe on that. But in the scenario we're in, we need to turn the page. If you can get Ward, I'm a Ward guy over a Sanders guy. But if you're a Ward guy or a Sanders guy, because look, they don't have to be the best, college player like Abdul Carter is or Travis Hunter is, but quarterbacks are going to go first. They're going to get moved up the board because it's a desperate league for quarterbacks. There's only 32 of them, right? So, the league needs quarterbacks, right? And sometimes we think they're better than they are. Sometimes they're better than we think. But at the end of the day, the Giants need a quarterback. We are in an awkward spot, waiting for 2 35-plus guys, and a potential first-round team won't take calls, right? Yeah. So we're in an awkward spot. If you, to me, my personal opinion is if you get a chance to move up for Ward, you do it. I don't think you move up for Sanders. I see you stay pat at 3, and you find out where the chips fall. Because again, I'm not a Sanders guy, but I think move up for Ward or sit pat for Carter or Mason Graham. Those are my spots. You want to trade out and come back and then get two or 3 other picks. Like, remember the Chiefs and the Patriots traded out of the first round for something like, I don't know, 5 out of 7 years. So, and those teams win a lot.
But they were also at the bottom half of the draft trading out. So it wasn't much of a difference, right? So for me, I'm not about trading out of that 3rd pick because you're gonna get somebody really good. I'm not going back far. Like I don't want to do it all. Maybe if you move back to 4, I would also contemplate looking at maybe trading to the 2nd spot if Cleveland is willing to trade, because there's talk. Who knows what they're going to do? They
got Kenny Pickett though. They have a starter. We do not.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you can move up to 2 and you're going to get one of the 2 quarterbacks, then make that move. If Cleveland's willing to trade out, move back 1 spot because maybe they want Hunter, maybe they want Carter. Who knows? Right. So you got options. So whether you go to 2 or you go to 1, make it happen. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
But I'm not moving backwards. I'm not moving to 5 or 6. No, you want a top 3 guy. If I have the opportunity to get a quarterback, Hunter or Carter in that 3 spot, Graham, listen, I like Graham. I don't know if he's worthy of the top 3 spot. I have concerns about him because I also think a lot of his partner in crime on the D line helped with that too. Not hating on Graham at all, but I think Carter and Hunter absolutely are top 5 or top 3 pick. So those are the guys that I would lean towards. But I wouldn't be disappointed if they went Graham. But I'm
No,
not missing out on a
especially
guy in that range. If I have a chance to get a Hunter or Carter, like I'm not missing out on that. I'm sorry. Like those are the guys you want. Like I don't. Why would you? No, I don't need extra picks and move down a couple
yeah.
spots. Like I'm
I
not
mean,
doing that. Sorry.
Graham and Carter literally changed the Giants' defense. They literally with the new corner, Debo, and the safety. And if you had a Graham or a Carter, and again, like I've talked about, I think Shane and Dabes have an ego, different type of ego. They're definitely 2 different people, but like I think them drafting Carter would be an indictment on Kayvon. I don't know if they want to do that. I don't know if they would do that. I don't know if that even comes into their thinking, but I don't put it past them. How about that? I don't put it past them that said, "Oh man, that'll send the wrong message to KT." So I'm not doing that. But I'm okay with it because I think Mason Graham could be the best. He is the best D tackle in college football. But there are ability to draft a great D tackle in the second round throughout this draft. There's 20 to 25 of these guys, but Carter or Mason Graham definitely change your defense. I don't know if Hunter changes your defense because I'd be afraid to play him at wide receiver and him get hurt, and then you lose a corner too. So if I'm bringing in, see, that's the thing. If you're bringing in Hunter, like what DB is he going to play? He's not going to play over Banks, and he's not going to play over Debo.
Why not? Why wouldn't he play over Banks?
Because they just don't. Again, I'm not saying that he doesn't have the potential to be better. I'm not saying that. Okay. I am saying that coaches don't do that stuff because now you just totally ruin that guy's confidence to the point where he's shot, right? He's a first round pick. He had a bad year. You're hoping this new DB coach can fix him, and he's going to have a guy that's definitely, has the same skill set he does in the Debo, but plays it better. I just, again, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I just don't see it happening. Right? Like, I just don't see them bringing in another corner when they realistically have two CB1, CB2. So I don't see, I mean, would Hunter be great? Sure. My issue, though, is that he's going to want to play some offense. If he gets hurt, you lost a wide receiver and a defensive back. And do you want to be put in that spot?
Yeah, but then you got a backup there. So, but I'll say this: like, if you're worried about Banks's confidence, I mean, they signed a guy to be the CB1, knowing that Banks is going to be CB2, so that could hurt his confidence. And the same thing we said about Carter, like, there's nobody on this roster that should stop the Giants from drafting either Carter or Hunter. You don't not draft those guys just because so and so is here. Like, you don't not draft the Carter because you have KT or McFadden playing there. Like, that's not what you do. Like, again, when the Giants were the best was when they overdrafted positions of strength that they had, right? Like,
hands down. Right? Different game. It's a different game though now, right? These guys are fragile.
I guess, but well, you know what? Then you don't want them after that. Like, that's what we need. We need dogs. How many times did we say that? Like,
easier. I know it's just easier. It's easier said than done.
Well, they got to win games.
They got to win games. They got to win games. And I think we can't be giving up on Banks. You just can't give up after one bad year. I thought he had a nice rookie year. We talked about this last week, but I don't see Hunter as an option at all on the table for the Giants. Doesn't matter. It's just my opinion.
He might not. Again, I mean, they've seen him a lot because they were out at Colorado a lot, so they probably were watching him and Shedeur, right? So I don't think they will draft him. I'm just speaking for me, but I don't think they'll pass on Carter because of KT. Like I don't see that happening.
By the way, and they shouldn't, because KT's, 5th year option may not ever get picked up anyway.
Right. Exactly. So yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about this. So yes, I don't think you guys could go out there and run around on Twitter saying that the Giants are never going to move up for the first pick. They just we won't know until draft day, until they, Goodell walks out on the podium saying that Tennessee's traded the first round pick to the Giants. The Giants are on the clock. We won't know. We just won't know. it could always happen if the right offer is made. It can happen. And how bad do you want that first, pick? So anything could happen. Let's have a little bit of, let me see what's going on in the comments. What are you guys talking about in here? Anything that's, let's see, KT can move around if we draft Carter. KT needs more than moving around. Let's see. I'm okay with Carter. I'm just looking what Cole's saying. So Sean says you can never have enough pass rushers. Yeah, Sean, 100%. Mr. Jackson, we did Giants. We're the best. Why do you think this is called Giants Rush? Because we've always had the best pass rush, right? 4 Super Bowls. We named the podcast after the best unit they had in all 4 teams was the pass rush, right? So, yeah. So I named this podcast and my website and this company after 4 Super Bowls, getting it done by having the best pass rush. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Sean, all the way. All right, let's have some fun, dude. Fun.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm curious on this.
Okay.
Who is you? And we can bounce back and forth if you want me to go. You
Sure.
go.
You're the king. You decide how you want this to go, my man.
Yeah. Well,
we're getting along tonight, so I'm gonna keep it on peaceful vibes.
Like it. Top 10, all-time players to watch from the Giants. Okay.
Yeah.
Not like best guy player at the position. Doesn't have to be an all-pro. Don't be anything. Just when you turn the tube on, I want you to give me. I have mine.
Yep.
And I didn't really rank them in order, so I'm just going to throw it out. You give me one of your top 10 players of all time to watch.
Yeah, I'll say this: there is one person I'm definitely leaving till last, but I didn't rank mine either. But I'm going to start with what may be a controversial choice here.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm starting right away with that, like not easing into it, right? Jeff Hostetler.
Okay.
I loved watching him in college. I was excited when the Giants brought him in. When he was doing, punt coverage and everything else, and then he got to be quarterback, like he was fun for me to watch. That dude was just, man, he was a dog. He didn't care, man. Anything to get on the field, anything you want to do. Just a guy who was easy to root for. So I loved watching him play. I was so glad when he won in the Super Bowl. Like I felt so good for that dude.
I love it. I wouldn't say that was controversial, but you'd say that was unique, maybe odd, maybe.
Well, controversial is because people may not have him on a top 10 of fun players to watch all the time, especially when you hear who's not on my list.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think. And by the way, I'm going to gamble that you're one of the biggest superstars to ever play in this franchise. I'm going to bet that your player that you don't have is the same player I don't have.
Let's see.
Let's see. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to give you one of mine if you don't mind.
Yep.
One of my favorite players, hands down, to watch play. Since you went a little controversial, I'm going to go a little controversial.
Okay.
And that was Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber was by far the best running back in Giants history. But the guy was so much fun to watch because when he got to the Giants, he was just a scat back from Virginia Tech. And I can't tell you I know this for sure, but I do remember it happened right when he took off in that year 3 period. He had gotten LASIK eye surgery. I never forgot that story, right? And it seemed like he saw the field so much better. And he just became this guy that would run into the line, put his hand on the back of the guard, and he would just disappear. And nobody could find him. And bang, he would hit that hole. He'd be through that A-gap in a blink of an eye, and he was gone. And he had this deceptive speed, right? Like he just kept going, and he seemed like he got faster as he went. I mean, he was so... And then, those plays where you thought it was dead, he was kind of bouncing outside, cut it all the way back. Tiki was, without a doubt, one of the most electric players the Giants have ever had. I know a lot of people don't love him for all the off-field stuff, but He was one of my favorite top 10 players to watch play. I don't know if you liked Tiki, but
No, he was not one of my favorites to watch. I mean, I didn't mind watching him, but yeah, I don't have him on my list.
yeah, I didn't think anybody in Giants history ran the ball like he did. It was spectacular. I mean, he missed a rushing title by 20 yards to Shawn Alexander that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fun. All right, go ahead. Give me another one for you.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off of where you went there. So Rodney Hampton, guy was electric. He is so underrated as a Giants running back. Like if he was on bad teams. That's what hurt him. He was on bad teams. But that man was electric. Again, another guy watching him in college, ecstatic when he came to the Giants. I personally think, to what you were just saying there, I think he was better than Tiki. The problem was he was on bad teams, very bad teams. But he was, man, he was much faster than people realized. That dude was amazing, absolutely amazing.
So
I know he got injured, and I think he would have excelled in that '90 Super Bowl if he didn't get injured.
So you know what's funny is that look what we're talking about. Like Rodney Hampton is one of my probably like one of my top 5 players of all time. So, but we were just talking, and he's on my list. I have him as one of my top 10, right? Rodney Hampton.
Yep.
But like he was one of my favorite players. Doesn't mean he might not be someone else's favorite to watch, right? Because so for me, like Tiki was fun to watch, but Tiki's not one of my all-time favorite players.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
You know, Rodney, I used to have this newspaper clipping when it was the draft time, and they had this picture of Rodney. It was in an old newspaper on how he was jumping over the line to go into the end zone, and he went up and he kind of turned over this way, so you could only see the back of his jersey, and it said "Flying High." Rodney Hampton from Georgia could be, picked by the Giants. And I was always like, man, that cat is so high up in the, I had never seen a guy go up and then turn over. And I don't know, just definitely one of my favorite players and favorite players to watch. So you stole my thunder there. No doubt. All right, let me try this one. Okay. Favorite players to watch play, without a doubt, was Phil Simms.
Okay.
So Simms to me was fun to play because he overcome a ton of stuff. He was ballsy on the sidelines. Him and Parcells just jawing at each other all the time. Him coming in, get always fiery, just throwing that seam pass to Bavaro, just and when we had Leonard Marshall on a couple of years ago, he said by far Phil Simms was one of the strongest guys in the locker room, and he used to squat with the offensive linemen because of how much dog he had in him. You know what I mean? Like he was, when he came to working out, because his first couple of years were so banged up from injuries, he just started taking care of his body more and working out. Phil Simms to me was a ton of fun to watch, whether it was the off the sideline antics with Parcells, or it was I'm going to Disney World when he won the Super Bowl. First quarterback ever to say I'm going to Disney World was Phil Simms. He was the first time it would ever been done before.
Yep.
Threw a great ball, just Phil Simms to me was super fun to watch, and knowing the fact that him and the stories you hear, or you read about him and LT, him bailing LT out all the time for stuff, just I don't know. But one of my favorites was Phil Simms.
Nice.
All right, what do you got?
So I'm gonna go from that era again. I'm gonna go Mark Bavaro. Man, that dude was just quiet, reserved, but on the field, man, like just trucking dudes all the time, like, and just making plays, like tough, making plays. That 49ers game, that Monday night, I mean, just trucking guys, carrying guys, right? Like, how is that not a fun guy to watch, right? Like, he was just amazing, just amazing. So yeah, he was definitely he's one of my all-time favorite players too, as well as being all-time fun to watch.
Well, I'm just gonna kind of almost keep piggybacking on what and I didn't know this was your list. It wasn't like I asked you in advance what your
No,
list
we
is.
didn't know anything.
So yes, Bavaro is on my list, but I'm going to then, so I don't steal your thunder, I'm going to go with another player to me, which was I was purely shocked when this guy started playing for the Giants on what he was, and that's Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah.
I have never saw a more electric tight end in my life play the game the way he played the game. And people won't realize the cat was 6'6", and the dude ran like a 4.85 or a 4.75 40. I mean, he was a freak for his time. And back then, Miami U was all tight ends, and I just had never seen anybody play so angry all the time. You know what I mean? And just incredible. Big Shockey fan. Got my dad a Shockey autograph helmet one year for his birthday. I wish he hadn't gotten. And listen, he got hurt so often because he played at 125 miles an hour all the time, and he got banged up. But just a freaking beast. I mean, when I saw him run over that guy, was it Texans or the Colts? I can't remember what that preseason game was. I had never seen a dude in my life. I thought that guy was dead.
The Hall of Fame
I thought that guy was dead. I've seen Shockey lose his helmet in a game and still run into a pile of players with helmets.
That was the Colts game where he lost his helmet, and the Hall of Fame game was the Texans, where he
ran
trucked
that guy over for the Texans. I thought he was dead.
Yep.
I was like, wow.
Yep. So I won't have to mention him later. He's actually on my list. He's one of my top guys of all time, favorite players on the Giants. So I figured you might have him, but he's on my list, so I won't mention him later.
I just never saw anybody in my life play like him. I loved Bavaro. Bavaro was still a different type of player. Shockey was just electric. Like, he was angry
He
got on the field.
He was a more personality, faster version of Mark Bavaro, but he had that he could truck dudes. He was absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, I was when we got him, let me tell you.
Yep. I always remember the story on how he was walking in the middle of Manhattan in a pouring rainstorm, right? And he's literally just walking, soaking wet, and a black limo pulls up and the window rolls down, and it's Wilmington Mara. And Wilmington Mara is like, Shockey, is that you? Get in here, boy. And he got in the limo, and when Wellington Mara passed away, Shockey was one of the only players that got invited to go to the funeral because of how much Wellington Mara loved Shockey.
Yep, which was awesome. Well, I'm gonna go another guy that may not have a lot of people is out there, but Hakeem Nicks was fun for me to watch because that dude was smooth. He was smooth. Dude, listen, we're about the same age, so we think alike. So.
Yeah, man, dude. Nobody with bigger hand, dude. There's that one play where he catches the ball in front of him and then puts the ball behind his back, like he was passing a basketball, and literally hands himself the ball behind his back. Dude had the biggest hands I'd ever seen.
So, funny story about Hakeem Nicks was, so I moved from Georgia to South Carolina during the same day as the playoff game, but we schedule it so we could stop at a bar and watch the game. So I was there with my father, and I was there with two guys that were helping me move from Georgia. They were both Falcons fans. And so when we were in the bar watching, and Nicks took off on that slant route and took it to the house, man, I lost my shit. And those guys went silent. And I'm like, but like, you don't realize how fast he was because he just glided and he just took off. And again, the injuries hurt him, but to me, I think he's a very underrated and a Giant who's not talked about nearly enough. So that's why I wanted to make sure I brought him up tonight, because that dude was, man, just smooth.
I gotta put this on screen because this is something like, hey man, look, I think we do a great job here at Rush. Only Rush gets stuff like this. Look at this. I stood outside St. Patrick's Cathedral for Wellington's funeral. Rest in peace. K-Mac.
That's awesome, man.
It's incredible, dude. That is a great story. Yeah. And if you literally went there just to be there, like that's cool, dude. That's definitely
Yeah.
cool. I'm pounding you out for that one, dude. That's good stuff. What do you call? All right, let me. And by the way, huge. We're locked in step because I was a huge Hampton fan and a huge Knicks fan. So you
Yep.
definitely got both my guys on my list.
Yep.
And then again, another one, for me is was Victor Cruz.
Mm.
I mean, I really you had no expectation for a guy who got thrown off the field at UMass to turn into be the player he was. I mean, he was just fun to watch play. He was taking a ball at a house a lot. He was
Yep.
making guys miss a lot. You know what I
Yep.
mean? He was doing stuff that he shouldn't have done playing in at UMass, and walking on to catching 3 touchdowns versus the Jets and Rex Ryan asking Coughlin, who's that number 3, man?
Yeah.
That dude is something. So, healthy Cruz was something special to watch play, especially when you knew just, Patterson guy, local guy, just going out there. And man, did he have fun playing the game. Really
Yep.
fun guy to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good choice. He's not on my list, so we got ones that aren't on together. Now, I'm interested to see if you have my next guy on your list or not. Jesse Armstead.
Ooh, he was, and I took him off.
Oh, you took him off. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
I had to swap him for another guy. But I mean, Jesse,
Okay.
I mean, you want to know listen, Jesse, just I know you know this, but for the fans, so Jesse was a 12th round draft pick, like when they had extra rounds, right? Like, and no one ever thought he was going to be as good as he was. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. I've met him a bunch of times. Really good dude. I know he's been he was the assistant to Gettleman for a couple of years. I think he might still be, assistant in the front office stuff for
He is.
for
He was out of Colorado with Shane and
yeah,
and what's
yeah,
his name?
Tierney.
Brown.
Oh, Brandon Brown. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Just good dude. Real good dude. Like I said, met him a couple times. What I used to love about Jesse was his style.
Yeah.
He would wear the same cleats but a different color on each shoe. He'd wear one red shoe and one blue shoe of the same, model.
His uniform game was it was top notch. Like that dude, like when you talk about guys that just like look good in a uniform, like that dude's like. And the funny thing about Jesse is and many people now remember, but he was part of that controversial Dallas Carter team that got the championship taken away. And then he goes to Miami, right? Like that was a dude that and he was the best player on that Dallas Carter team. And that team was loaded, but he was the best player. He was the best player on that Miami team that was loaded. And then he comes to the Giants and he was the best player on that Giants team. But again, he was on some really bad teams.
Yeah.
Really bad teams.
Here's my quick Jesse story. Years and years ago, when I worked in broadcast in Philadelphia, I was doing a Xbox promotion, right?
Yep.
And I had to do it in Central Jersey, and they wanted me to bring football players, right, with me. So I reached out to Hugh Douglas, who was the defensive end for the Eagles, and I got through to Jesse. And Jesse flew in from Texas to do this Xbox promotion for me on his birthday. So I was just like, man, that was just super cool when he hung out all day, played Xbox with the kids all day. Just really, really good dude, man. All right. My next one is no surprise to anybody. And it's Michael Strahan. Like Strahan, came in, LT was still here, right? And he just never shied away from being the guy. You know what I mean? Like he was like, I'm going to be the guy. And he was the guy. Watching him throw John Runyon, who was a really great offensive tackle for the Eagles, watching him destroy him, picking him up, hip tossing him, blasting through him, around him. Just really inspirational dude. And people don't remember that, when he in his early years, he was 280 pounds. And then he tore his bicep, off the bone, came back the next year at like 255, 260, and people just could not control him because of how much quicker he now was, but he still had the same power, at 260 that he had at 280. So he was the closest thing you got to LT because like LT would just make a play. When you needed a play, LT made a play. And then Strahan was one of those guys like, man, it's 3rd and 10. We need a big play. Strahan would make the big play. Like he just made big plays. Like when the team needed him, he rose to another level. He beat guys, threw them around him. Yep. He had a bull rush. He had an inside move. He could swim you. He had this quick inside grab and stab move that he did, right? Just, I don't know. Super, super fun guy to watch.
Yep. No, good choice. I didn't have him on my list, interestingly enough. So my next guy, because, being a former running back, and I already mentioned Hampton, and being that the stature of this guy, I was not one of the tallest guys that were out there. So he was always a fun one for me to watch, rooting for Nando. Joe Morris. Like that man could just take a sweep and next thing you know, he's gone. Right. Like he was a lot of fun for me to watch. Again, growing up as a running back, I'm watching him. Man, it was a big inspiration for me. Big inspiration for me. So yeah, Joe Morris is man, he was so fun to watch for me.
I didn't have Joe on my list. The last two, well, I guess it's two. Last two I have on my list would go without saying. I'm just going to give them both to you, I guess, because I'm pretty sure that you've got at least one of these on here.
Yeah, I got 3 left on my list.
All right, yeah. We shared a bunch of mine, like,
yep.
But is Banks and Taylor. I mean, they were really, really fun to watch for different reasons. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, best defensive player of all time, made plays that just no one in their right mind could make. And Banks was smooth, right? Like he was intimidating. He would, like I said, I love that play where he dives over the center. Yep. You know what I mean? To sack the quarterback as he's snapping the ball, great in pass coverage. So he was always fun to watch play because he was always up. He never blended in. He never disappeared. He always made sure his presence was felt. And LT, just there's never anything been like it ever. Running over you, around you, through you, picking off balls, fumble recoveries, just any. I mean, the poor guy got robbed of 9.5 sacks his rookie years because they didn't even count him.
Yep.
So. Yep. I've never seen anybody make plays like Lawrence Taylor. He was absolutely like they just started chanting LT in the stadium, and he went out and made a play.
Yeah. There's a reason why there's all the LT stuff in my room here. He was my guy I was going to say for last and not mention to last. So you stole my thunder with Banks and LT because they were my last 2 guys. So I'm going to steal your thunder because I'm pretty damn sure who your last guy is, and I'm going to steal your thunder. So the last guy I had on my list, or maybe he's not on your list because you said those are your last 2.
Banks and because I had Bavaro, Hampton, and Hakeem Nicks on my list. So you wiped out 3 of mine.
All right. Unless you mentioned this guy and I missed it, but I'm surprised he's not on your list then, is Odell Beckham. OBJ.
I took Odell, so I had 9, right?
Okay.
And I put Banks on over Odell, but Odell was like going to be my 10th one, but I was like, I went defense. But Odell is like definitely, I mean, go ahead, you run with it. I mean, he was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I never had a problem with any of OBJ's antics on the field whatsoever. I loved his enthusiasm, his competitiveness. The net shit never bothered me. The only thing that ever bothered me is when he did that stupid friggin' interview and said the shit he said. But OBJ was, and again, it was going to be OBJ and then Banks and NLT. But yeah, Odell Beckham, just like, again, I saw him do things that I've never seen a Giants receiver ever do. And he could take a 6-yard slant and take it to the house and make people look slow. Like I've never seen somebody on the Giants make other NFL players look slow. So when you talk about
Yeah.
fun and electric to watch, like, and again, this list was about people fun to watch, not about great players for the Giants. Because I see some people ask about Seahorn, and yeah, we could add Seahorn and Toomer Cold because he's a Michigan guy. But listen, Toomer was a good, solid, steady player. He wasn't fun. Like, and that's not a negative statement. Like, these guys that we all mentioned did fun things. Like, they were fun, they were unique, they were exciting, right? Like, Amani Toomer was very, very solid. Jason Seymour was very, very solid. Did a good thing. So there's more guys we definitely could have added, but again, the category was fun to watch. So
if I had a number 11, right, or like a honorable mention, it would have been Plaxico Burress. Because you know what I mean? Like, I know some people wanted Brandon Jacobs because Brandon Jacobs was a fun player to watch. I would have went with Plaxico because I'd never anybody seen a guy that big just abuse defensive backs like that before. I mean, the wingspan and just the things he could do. And I guess that came from that Green Bay game because in those conditions, I don't know if any of you folks have ever been outside in the cold. Playing football in the cold is hard. Playing in the football in a frozen tundra 0 below game, like it's impossible. And the quarterback is throwing a rock at you. And this guy just abused the crap out of Al Harris. And I'm always like, if I had an 11, and it's kind of like, Odell or Plaxico could have easily been number 10 for me, if I moved Banks out.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's plenty of guys who could have added to that list, but we had to narrow it to 10. It's like if we had to pick our top 10 Giants of all time, not just fun to watch, but top 10 greatest, right? Like you're going to leave. There's a lot more great players than the Giants than people realize, and it's hard, but you got to make that choice, and the category was fun, right? So,
and that's like, it's fun to watch. Like, I never saw Gifford play. You know what I mean? Just fun player to watch. So
absolutely.
Wednesday draft show. I don't know what position they have or what's coming up this Wednesday.
We're doing linebackers, so inside and outside linebackers on Wednesday, and I will be on.
There is some cool linebackers out there. I don't think the Giants are going to be drafting a linebacker, but because there's a lot of other needs, especially like we talked about, like you're going to need a wide receiver too, or you're going to need a defensive tackle, or some more. You know what? Now that I think about it, I guess with the signing of the two DBs, I wonder if linebacker becomes, because they signed. I mean, he's a special teamer from the Ravens. They signed that guy Board.
Yeah,
like I guess he's some depth. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're not going to
keep they signed a guy from the Niners too, who's another special teams guy. Like, he's a really good special teams player. So they up their special teams with both those linebacker signings. So, I mean, they could. Again, they got 8 picks this year. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, again, you got 8 picks. There's not 8 holes on the roster of 8 different positions. So they could. Although I think they are high on Muasau. I know people will say whatever, but I do think they like the kid. And
yep.
He's a smart kid. He's going to take a little longer to develop, but he's a smart kid. Very smart.
Yeah,
kid.
he's not overly big, right? But he's fast as heck. You know what I mean? So, he could be a candidate to do a couple things. You know what I mean? Like, again, he could rush as he's fast. They could put him on the outside even if they want to. They've got some flexibility with him because when Okereke got hurt and McFadden moved over, and he slotted up to play next to McFadden, he looked good.
Yeah, and Cole bring up a good point, and so they may draft a linebacker now too, because
with Ojulari gone.
And listen, I'm gonna give a little toot my own horn right here, because I said that dude was not gonna have a big market. I believe I said it on this show too. He wasn't gonna have a big market because of injury. He signed with Philly for $4 million, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, he signed with Philly." Listen. He wasn't consistent here, and now people are going to be up in arms just because he signed with Philly. The dude couldn't stay in the field. He was awful against the run. He could rush. He could get after the quarterback. By the way, real quick, pet peeve, I hate the term rush the passer. He's not a passer. He's a quarterback. Stop saying the passer. I don't know when this happened. I don't know when people started doing it. I don't know when the media started doing it, but it's not, and he's a great passer of the football. No, he's a quarterback. He throws the football. And you don't rush the passer, you rush the quarterback. Like, I'm bringing it back, man. I'm bringing it back. But anyway, that's all he could do was get after the quarterback. So I'm fine that they didn't bring him back. But again, $4 million, I put it out there. He was not going to have a huge market, and he was not going to get a payday.
No, not with the body of work, because he's mostly on the sideline. But when he's on the field, he can produce. So, the Eagles lost a bunch of players, so they were going to sign somebody, right?
Yeah.
The Giants pass rush, I don't know if it took a hit or not, because it's hard. It's like, we all know what he had the potential to do, but he never did it because he was hurt so much. I mean, you are talking about 50% of his playing career has been him being on injured reserve.
Yeah. And again, this year, when he was having arguably his greatest year as a Giant, gets injured yet again, right? So, and he may ball out with Philly because that's what happens. People leave ball, but they're not doing it here. So if they're not doing it here, it doesn't matter. And you replace him with somebody else. Like, I'm not upset over like bring in somebody else who's going to stay on the field.
Drafting Abdul Carter.
Right. There you go, my man.
Like, hello. Yes.
We
could do something crazy like draft Abdul Carter.
Right. or other outside linebackers that we'll talk about on the draft show on Wednesday. Yeah. But there's guys that are out there. Right.
Yep. Like, guys, if you're hanging around, tune in to Shawn. He's going to be popping him, Spartan, Mike, and the Truth. See those guys up. We do have definitely one, potentially two pretty big interviews coming up in the month of April. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag quite yet, because I'm working on. I got a yes on one, and I'm waiting on the other one. I think you guys will approve to these interviews. And again, got my fingers crossed that they're going to come through. So appreciate that. Again, Cold is going to be joining me for the draft appreciation night on night one. If you would like to be part of what we call customer appreciation night, we do a draft show live Thursday, live Friday, and sometimes live Saturday. And we do it for 4 or 5 hours. Everybody gets a time slot, right? 7 to 7:15, 7:15 to 7:30. Everybody gets 15 minutes to talk about the pick or what they think the Giants are going to do. So if you want to be part of the show, bang, I'm pounding them out again. Just hit us up and let us know. Cole
will come on night one. He'll come on draft night one if I'm on there night one as well. I think that's the.
What are you trying to say? It's about you? Is that what you're trying to say?
He's mad at you. So I think if I'm on there with you, then that's to make up for what you did to him a couple of years ago. Like you got to put out an olive branch, Craig. You have to put out an olive branch.
Wait a minute. How is putting Cold on with you last year on day 2 bad? We highlighted him with you.
He wasn't on with me. Well, no, he wasn't talking about day 2. It was a couple years ago when you put him on with, as he said before. So, the person who's no longer here anymore. That's what he had a problem with. So if you get him on night one and it's me and you on night one and Cole's on there, then
I don't need you.
He said it doesn't even matter. I didn't say you needed me. I just said it because I want to finally be on night one.
No, you're hosting night 2.
I can't host night 2. It's a Friday. I can't host night 2 on a Friday.
Yes, you can.
I gotta co-host night 1.
No,
I gotta co-host night 1.
Your hot date will have to hang out in the background. Why? Okay. Because because Cole's coming on with me, and you're going to be on with Mush, Spartan Mush.
Spartan have fun, but man, listen, we got the number 3 pick, and I can't even be on night 1. I tell you what.
Bad.
Here's the thing. Listen, are goofballs still in here? Are the goofballs still in here?
Drew, I don't know if Drew's still in there or not.
Drew, you still in here? You got to get me on night 1.
I'm just saying, if they draft Sanders, then I have to listen to your sorry ass all night long.
That's why you don't want me on, because if they do that, you're right.
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, I may be stupid, but I ain't no fool. I have to sit there and listen to you all night long, be like, I called this 9 months ago. I've been watching him since he was in 8th grade, and he's I don't want to hear how he rescued his Pop Warner team from extinction. I don't want to hear of that he brushes his teeth with Crest toothpaste with his left hand. I don't want to hear it. So you're going to stinking night number 2.
All right, fine. Listen, goofballs throughout the offer. I will go on night 1 as a guest host with goofballs to promote Rush and goofballs. I'll be on night 1. They want me on night 1.
I can't because goofballs are on with me on night 1.
They just said I could be on with them night 1.
He's lying because Drew and Cold are going to be with me on draft day number 1, and we're going to get an update from Spartan Mike because he's going to be at the draft.
Listen, it's probably good because if the Giants draft Jackson Dart on day 2, I don't have to hear you either. So
yeah, but there's a difference though. I like Jackson Dart a whole lot. I know Jackson Dart needs work. I think he gets a little underappreciated of his game, but I'm not saying he rescued his Pop Warner team's mascot when he got bit by a dog.
I'm just listen. He turned around 2 college programs.
See,
he was part of it.
Look what I did. Here we go.
I know. I'm just saying he turned around 2 college programs. You can't discredit the kid for that. And regardless of people say he doesn't get in any trouble, he's an excellent student, right? So let's look at the things that should be looked at. Nah, but they say the type of kid and blah blah. But he stays out of trouble. He does like.
Oh yeah, you really think people think he's a bad kid? He's not a bad kid.
People hate on the kid. Yeah, they do. They do, and they don't talk about the things they should talk about enough. Like the hate he gets because of he does this and whatever else. Who cares?
Yeah,
zero trouble. And again, Deion he's raised 2 good kids. Shiloh doesn't get in any trouble either. None of his kids get in any trouble.
I don't know how you could hate somebody you never met. I mean, that's a little crazy. But
listen, have we not learned that Giants Twitter is a little crazy? As much as we love Giants Twitter,
that is true. And Cold, I'm begging you, Cold, to come on with me on the first night. Come on, Cold, man. Listen. Deion is an egomaniac, but that's what happens when you're the best DB, in the league for 2 decades, right? I mean,
yeah, and you gotta be an egomaniac to be that good playing defensive back, right? Like, how many people hate Michael Jordan because he was competitive? He was cutthroat, he was a killer. Like, man, he went after his own teammates, but he made them better. Like, that's just what you do. Like, guys that are the best at what they do aren't well liked by a lot of other people. Like, they'll tell you that, which is why a lot of those guys don't get in the coaching, which is surprising that Larry Bird was as good as he was as a coach, right? Because typically those guys aren't good at that. But the best of the best aren't well liked. Dick Butkus wasn't liked by people.
Well, he was a mean dude.
That's what I'm saying. You got to be. Jack Lambert, was he well liked by a lot of players? Like later on when he was retired and but when he was playing, people didn't like him. Doesn't
change the fact that Cole's coming on with me on Thursday, whether he likes it or not. Like, Cole's my guy. Cole, don't let me down. Cole, you're my guy.
I'm the goofball special guest on night 1.
I'm their special guest. Drew is going to be on with me.
I'm their special guest. Listen, I'm a goofball. It's a good fit to be a guest on a goofball show.
See,
clearly,
Cold says it's not happening. Like, it's. I'm admitting mistake. I'm asking for forgiveness. It was my fault.
He doesn't like it, Craig. That's the problem. I'm just kidding.
Oh, dude, that's rough, man.
Cole don't like anybody though. Actually,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think Cole's a good dude. I'm not believing that. I mean,
yeah, he doesn't like anybody.
He may be a little grumpy sometimes, but
he hates people.
We love Cold. He's an OG.
And Drew, am I special, like Little Yellow Bus special, or special, in a good way?
He says, hell no, hey, I don't forgive.
And put up his comment after that. Joker is right. Go ahead, put it up. There you go. End the show on a good note.
He's right about nothing. Drew's coming on with me, so you can't go there. He'll be on with us, so I can't help you.
There we go. See, St. Patrick's Day. I'm in a good mood. Like
Traitor.
No, I'm not leaving the show. I'm just being a guest. See, you didn't want me on night 1, So you
Yeah,
got me on night 2. I
because
can't be
you're
number 3 pick in the draft, and I can't be on the main
because
show.
your skills are so good, you can host night number 2. I'm putting my faith and my trust
Oh,
in you to run
uh-huh,
the 6th
uh-huh.
annual appreciation night because you
6th
can
annual.
handle. I think it's 5 or 6. I can't remember.
Man, I've been on like for 4 of them.
Yeah. We've been doing it for a while. We
Yeah,
always have a blast, a lot of fun. And sometimes you get to meet these guys firsthand that you don't normally get to talk to. So,
true. To see what you said.
what's up, Drew? Come on, man.
There's the trade-off.
It's messed up, Drew. It's messed up. It's messed up. All right, guys, we're out.
Yep.
We appreciate everything. Like I said, I like Tyke. Oh, see, he likes you too, but you get on his nerves. See, you're on his nerves, dude. You're on Cole's nerves. That's why he's
He
coming
said
back
2.
on with me.
Sometimes.
Yeah, we got you guys are all great. Appreciate all you guys coming on today. Lots of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Tell your friends about it. Help us grow the YouTube channel. Tell them to subscribe. And if you own a business, by the way, and you want to talk about sponsorship, let us know. We'd be glad to talk about your products or your services. We're out.